everybody, it's Miss Jaimie from the Hampton Bays Public Library, and today we are making puffy paint. So you will just need a few simple items that you probably have at home to make this, and then we will be able to paint beautiful pictures. So if you're unfamiliar with puffy paint, you usually get it in a little squeeze tube, and it's a little bit puffier than your average paint. It looks kind of like a cloud, and it comes in all different colors. So we are going to make our own, and it's a lot of fun. And you will just need a mixing bowl, something to mix with, some other little bowls to divide out your paint to dye it different colors. You will need shaving cream. Make sure you get the cream, not a gel or a butter or anything like that. It needs to be the cream so it has the right consistency. I'm using tempera paint to dye or add color to my paint. So you can also use food coloring or liquid watercolor, but I'm going to be using tempera paint so it's nice and easy to wash off of my hands. You're going to need liquid white glue and some flour. So you will also need some measuring cups. So each ingredient for the most part requires at least 1 cup. So I have 2 cups here, but you can use the same cup and just wash it in between. So first I'm going to use my clean one so that I can put it in the flour, since that's the only food item I have. I want to do that first so that I don't have to go wash my cup. Alright, so first we're going to need 1 cup of flour. And I'm just going to fill my cup up and level it off so it's a nice flat cup. And I'm going to stick that in my bowl. Alright, I'll move that to the side. And now we are going to need 1 cup of white glue. So I usually, when I'm baking or cooking, I would normally use, for something liquidy like this, a liquid measuring cup. But because today it's just easier to use the same cup, it'll only be slightly different. And you're just going to feel by texture anyways. So I'm just going to pour it into my cup. Make sure you pick up the bottle before it overflows. Alright, so that's 1 cup of liquid white glue. I'm going to stick that in. You might need to take your spatula or spoon and scrape it out. I'm going to get as much as I can because we don't like to waste anything. Okay. And now for the very exciting part, we're going to take our shaving cream. We need 3 cups of shaving cream. So I'm going to use my other measuring cup, and you shake it up. And make sure your little spout there is facing your cup and not anywhere else so you don't get it everywhere. There we go. And it kind of expands as it goes. So just try to get what feels the most like 1 full cup. And now we're going to do this 2 more times. You might need to shake it up in between. Alright, this is cup number 2, and now we just need 1 more cup. always fun when something smells really nice too. All right, so I'm gonna scrape this out. And now we are ready to mix all of our ingredients together. So I'll show you what mine looks like. All right. So mine looks just like that, a bit of a mess. So we're gonna take this and we're going to mix it all together until everything is combined. So you might need to use a little bit of stirring and a little bit of a folding technique, which is kind of hard to explain, but you kind of dig your spatula or spoon under and you kind of just take what's in there and you fold it over. So kind of like you're folding your clothes. And this will make a decent amount of paint so you can have several colors. And the paint that we put in it and the glue is what makes sure that it sticks to your paper. And doesn't just fall off. Right, that looks all mixed up. You might have a few flecks of flour in there or something, but we're going to do a little bit more mixing when we put our colors in. So I'm going to divide my colors, or divide my puffy paint, I should say, so we can make our colors. So right here I have 3 bowls, but I think I'm only going to do 2 colors. So I'm going to only take 2 bowls. So I have right here, I have my pictures. So you can use construction paper or some other paper. I recommend something that's a little bit heavy duty so that your paper doesn't kind of shrivel with all the moisture. So I have here on cardstock, I have a cupcake that I printed out and a jellyfish, or a sea jelly as I like to call them, because they're not actually fish. And I am going to use those that I printed on cardstock. And I like, if you're going to do a printout, I like the ones that are simple, that don't have too many details, because it's going to be a little bit hard to get all of the details in if you try to have something with a lot of details. Or you can just put it on regular paper and make whatever picture. You can even scoop, instead of putting it into, we'll put it into a bowl first, you can even then, once you put the color in, scoop it into a plastic bag and then cut off the tip, and you can use it like a piping bag like you would if you were frosting a cupcake. Alright, so I'm just going to divide up my paint. And I might have a lot left over, but it can be used for at least a few more hours, or I believe at least a day. You can save it as long as it's in an airtight plastic bag or container. Alright, so now I'm going to use, for my cupcake, a little bit of purple, so that it looks like a nice purple frosting. And what I'm going to do is then later color in the wrapper, because I just want the frosting to be purple. So I'm going to color in the wrapper a different color later. And I'm just going to put a few drops. Now remember, this puffy paint is white, so if you put in a certain amount of color, the white of the puffy paint will lighten it up. Alright, so I put in 3 drops, and now I'm going to mix. I have my little sponge brush, but you can use a spoon, but I figured I'm going to use my sponge brush to paint, so I don't really want to waste another thing to wash. And you just kind of mix it together, and it looks very light, so I think I'm going to put in some more paint. put in another few drops. Ooh, and now it's really looking nice. Now I still have a lot of white though, so I'm going to put in a few more. So you just play around with it until you get the right color that you want. And if you have some other colors, you could mix it in together. This is a great idea if you have, say you only have a red color and a blue color, you could mix the two together to make purple. All right. I think most of those are done. It looks like this nice light purple color. Right, and I'm going to make my Jellyfish Blue. So I'm going to take the blue paint and judging by what I did with the purple, I'm going to put a little bit extra than what I did before. I'm going to mix that together. This looks like a really nice royal blue. So as I said, you could use it just like this. I have the sponge paint brush, which I think is the best type of brush to use with this. Or you can scoop it into that plastic bag and start piping the paint as your own design. So I'm just going to take my paper. I have a little bit right there. And I'm going to kind of just smear it on. And this is what I said, it's not going to be precise. So that's why we have some good undetailed coloring pages. Now you can spread it out and flatten it like I did on the second one. You can make it a bit more 3D so that it's puffy. So I recommend that you treat it a little bit differently than you would regular paint, and you kind of want to glob it on a little bit so that it gets that 3D effect. And it's going to take a little bit longer to dry than your regular paint, but it will look really cool. And if you have some white still, it looks kind of cool. It's a two-tone effect. And you can have it going different ways so that it has different type of texture. So there's my cupcake. And I'm gonna let that dry. If you wanted to, you could color it beforehand. On the bottom, I'm gonna color the wrapper, like a nice brown color. But I'm gonna let this dry and then I'm gonna color it. So that will be that. And then for my jellyfish, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to color the tentacles, the little legs here, later. But I'm going to do the bell part of it, for this nice blue color. And again, I'm going to get that little bit of 3D texture going on. So I want to smear it around, but leave a little bit sticking up, so that it's not all flat. And another great thing you could do, there's my jellyfish, is if you wanted to, you could put some glitter while it's drying, and that looks really cool. So let me walk around and I will show you. There we go. You see that nice cool thing? And that will dry, so I'll let that dry. It might take a few hours, but it will dry and it will be great. So I hope you had a good time, and if you want to leave a comment down below with what you've made, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.